So, welcome. This is Networking for Artists. I am Luther Hughes. I'm a program co-director at Artist Trust. My pronouns are they, them. I'm also a writer and a poet. Born and raised from Seattle, Washington, specifically the South End. So I'm happy to be here with you all to talk about different ways to network, give you some guiding tips, some tools to take with you after this. All right, let's get this going. Cool. So let's first start off with our acknowledgements. I'm starting with our land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that we do statewide work, and the work is on land stolen from Native and Indigenous people. Our trust office is on Duwamish land, and I too am currently on Duwamish land. I recognize that they were the first people here and were forced to move. Understanding our place in history and understanding how we can better support Indigenous communities is ongoing work. And then our labor acknowledgement, which was created by Sean Wu. We acknowledge that we benefit from the prosperity of the United States, which was built on the labor of enslaved people. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for the descendants of those who built this country. Okay. So just some quick housekeeping on Artist Trust. We are a not-for-profit organization focused on supporting the livelihood of artists like yourselves across the entire state of Washington. And we do this through various things like workshops like these, through webinars, through community conversations, and our big one, of course, through our grants programs. Artists are truly at the center of our work. We were founded actually by artists in 1986, and our first grants went out in 1987. So we've been around for about 35 years. And just going over our core values, which was created actually partnership with artists. They were refreshed a couple of years ago through some conversations and things. So we are a community. We see artists as leaders. We share power and resources. We earn trust, and we engage in continued learning. So our workshop today. We're going to start with doing a self-reflection, which will consist of a worksheet that I did send to you all, but I will drop it in the chat pretty soon here. Talking about what it means to introduce yourself. I am doing away with the idea of the elevator pitch. I think it is antiquated, and so we're going to talk about just introducing yourself and kind of bring it down to a more casual and relaxed way to talk about yourself. Identifying your network, you know what that means, what that looks like, who your network is, some basics when it comes to networking, and if there's time, some networking in real time, which I will have you go into breakout groups and talk to each other, exchange information, things like that, if there's time. And if not, of course, that's fine, but there will be time specifically for questions. So I mentioned this worksheet that I sent you all, but I'll also put it in the chat here. This is a self-reflection worksheet that you can do to really think about who you are, your practice, things like that. I'll also go over this worksheet in real time with you all so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But for those who may not have gotten the email with the worksheet, I just put it in the chat for you. All right, so this is the worksheet that I put in the chat and I sent over. And just to go over it really quickly, so use this worksheet to help you reflect on who you are as an artist. So answering simple questions like, what is your name? What is your artistic practice? Where are you from? And or where do you live, just depending on how you want to talk about yourself. And then what are some identity markers you have when it comes to who you are? So you can put race, you can put gender, sexual orientation, religion, whatever you want to put as far as identity markers. And then what's something someone may not know about yourself when you first meet? Something that only you know about yourself, something that you want to share about yourself when you're meeting somebody. What's that one, maybe even two things you want to share with somebody when you first meet them? So take about 5 minutes to kind of knock this out. Um, Again, super quick, super easy. Just again, thinking about who you are as an artist. Dope. Now that spend some time reflecting on who you are, again, simple worksheet, right? I can talk about some other things. So tips on introducing yourself. Again, moving away from this idea of the elevator pitch and bringing it down to a more casual conversation, a more casual way to talk about yourself, to um, talk about who you are, what you do, and how you want to kind of engage with somebody you're meeting for the first time. And so there are different ways to think about introducing yourself, whether it's to other artists, to our supporters, to collaborators, potentially folks working to organizations, communities, things like that. So there are different ways to talk about yourself when it comes to the person you're talking to. But all in all, I think it's pretty simple when you're thinking about what it means to introducing yourself and who you are as an artist. So, as an artist, you speak with a variety of people, right? Knowing this, it's important to consider who you're talking to. Networking can create different opportunities in the future, from gaining new friends to working with an organization, so on and so forth. So, how you introduce yourself should vary based on who you're speaking with, of course. So, keeping it personal and keeping it brief. There's no need to have a long-winded introduction. No need to talk kind of broadly about yourself. Personalized introduction, but keep it brief. Hi, I'm Luther. I'm a writer. I'm from Seattle, Washington. What's your name? Who are you? Right? Simple. It's about me. And it's brief. Right? This can, of course, change on who you're talking to, but usually a brief introduction of who you are and what you do is the best way to go, no matter the context. And then as things kind of progress in conversation, it sounds simple, but it's important to keep in mind to be a good listener and to be engaging, right? It's one thing to just kind of nod and give kind of a yes or no thing, or like, say, uh-huh, interesting, but actually be engaged in conversation. This can include, of course, like I said, small gestures like head nods, or more direct ways like asking follow-up questions, right? If I say, hey, I'm Luther, I'm a writer, you might say, hey, what do you write about? Oh, hey, I'm a writer too. I write about these things. And so really being a good listener and engaging in conversation can keep the possibility of furthering conversation alive and going. And again, don't think of it as selling yourself, right? But to create a genuine connection with people. The goal might be to cultivate more opportunities, but people who want to work with people who are genuine, kind, and caring. This also means don't expect anything from the conversation. It's important to remember that they are also a person making connections just like you. So no matter where you are, no matter the event, the gathering, the whatever, when you're meeting somebody, don't expect anything from them. They're also human like you, and they're also there to make connections like you are as well. Be genuine, be kind, be engaging in conversation, introducing yourself. And if it comes down to it, have ways to stay connected. Doesn't mean, dish out your card immediately, right? Doesn't mean be ready to dish out your Instagram or your socials. But if they do ask, hey, let's follow up. Oh, you know what? Here's my business card. Oh, you know what? Hey, my Instagram account handle is this, or here's my email, right? Still have those tangible ways to follow up. But I would say do not go into the conversation wanting to give out your business card, right? And again, it depends on who you're talking to, the event. Of course, if it's a networking event, of course, you're probably tasked with networking, right? But say if it's an exhibition or say a showcase or a reading, might not be the best time to dish out business cards, but have them just in case it does come down to it during the conversation. So again, not pitching yourself, but introducing yourself in a very genuine and kind manner to build those genuine human to human connections that can lead to opportunities and other forms of engagement along the way. So now that we talked a little bit about, what does it mean to introduce yourself in a genuine way, let's talk about how to identify your network. I think identifying your network can be kind of a heavy thing to think about, but if you break it down in simple ways, we can really think about who your network is, and most likely, most of us already have networks, but that we even haven't tapped into yet. So quickly think about what is a network. So I love Google. Google is my best friend. So I turn to Google for a lot of things when it comes to definitions. And so according to Google, the noun of a network is a group or system of interconnected people or things. And the word interconnected is bold here because I think it's important when thinking about a network. So a network can be different types of things. It can be a community of people that are friendly, share information, and support each other. That's the kind of the interconnectedness of what it means to have a network. It can be formal, informal, digital, professional, social, and more, right? There's no one way a network can function and one way it can be built. However, it's up to you how to define your own network, who your network is, and who you want to network with. If you're thinking about the verb, right, network, to network, it is to interact with others, to exchange information, and develop professional or social contacts. Now, this is the definition that we're usually familiar with when it comes to networking, right? It's the idea of exchanging contacts to build further connection along the way. So this can mean several different things, right? To network means conversing with people in person or digitally and actively engaging. And that means continuing the conversation in real time or afterwards, or even commenting on the social media post. Networking can be as passive or as active as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be the same thing every single time. A like on social media is still considered networking, right? It doesn't always mean exchanging information, doesn't always mean going out for coffee. It can just mean, a comment on an Instagram post, a like on a tweet, things like that. That's still considered networking. And again, it's up to you to how to want to define your network, right? Who it is, what it is, and what it function as for you. So, who should I network with? The arts community is very, very, very large. So important to think about who you want to network with and build connections with. It's simple, but start with the artists and creatives in your field. Starting with others who share your same artistic practice with you can help remove the stress that can come along with networking. If you're working similarly, it's easier to start a conversation with them. So, for example, if you are a painter and you go to an exhibition to see the artist and say there are other painters there, you say, "Hey, I also paint flowers. I also paint landscapes or X, Y, and Z," right? It's easy to talk to people who share the same interest as you. And as an artist, there are many artists who share similarities as you. And so start with those folks who share those similarities. Again, that'll help you remove kind of the stress of networking that comes with this idea of how to network. Think about artists you admire and want to learn from. Ask them about their processes. Tell them you admire their work. Ask them if they work on anything new. Ask them about their inspirations. Artists love talking to other artists. That's just a given, right? If you love it, they love it. And again, it's really about building that genuine connection. And it really can be as simple as, "Hey, I like your work. What's new?" Or, "Hey, you know what? I saw that you have an exhibition in 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, what's that about?" Right? So really, really thinking about ways you can talk to artists you admire and learn from. Ask them about who they admire, right? And build from there as well. And speaking of asking folks, ask your friends who they admire as artists, right? Who are they inspired by? And network with them. And again, networking is about that interconnectedness. And the more folks you talk to, the more expanded your network becomes. But everybody has their own individual network. And by asking a friend, "Hey, what artists do you love?" They can tell you, "Oh, I love X, Y, and Z. They have a show next week. Let's go together." Go with them, meet that artist, and continue building a network in those ways, right? It's all about, again, that genuine connectedness and thinking about ways to branch your network out in various situations. And again, the art community is large, but it's not just made up of makers. It's also supporters, donors, gallery owners, curators, editors, and publishers. It's built up of the arts and heritage cultural organizations. And so it's not just about creators and makers that builds the art community, it's everybody else as well. And so you want to also network with those folks. Talk to donors, talk to readers, talk to editors, talk to librarians, talk to publishers, talk to gallery owners, right? Again, the arts community is large, but it's not just you in the room as creators. It's also the folks who love art and folks who say dish out grants like Artist Trust. We're also a part of the arts community. So network with them as well. And you can't forget your audience. I mean, people who admire your work. When someone engages with you, be kind and respectful. Extend gratitude when necessary. If they're an artist, ask them about their work and where you can see it. I think this is a big one. I think we often forget as artists that we have our own audience and that to network means also engaging with them, right? People on social media are liking your new exhibition or your new published work or anything. Comment back, say thank you so much. Or, "Oh my gosh, you're an artist too. What do you do?" Right? You want to still build those networks with the people who are also admirers of your work. Because again, your network is not only about who you can meet, but who also wants to meet you. So, what are some of the benefits of having a network? As we know, having a network can build a lot of different things, particularly opportunities like performances, exhibitions, talks, projects, referrals, right? So having a network or building a network can offer you opportunities in very various ways, even through collaboration and things like that. It also offers you growth and stimulation. So with a network, you can seek out advice, seek feedback, and constructive critique, and even things like, moving on to community, things like assistance and support, friendship, mentorship, and influence. So a network is more than just opportunities. It's a way to really, really think about the benefits that can push your career forward as an artist and to build your own community as an artist. Everybody thinking about what does it mean to have a network to seek advice from, to gain mentorship from, to have friendship. It's important to also have friends as an artist, right? When you're networking, right? Influences, support and assistance. I think it's important to have all these things when thinking about building a network. For example, say you need to raise some funds for a new studio. Creating a GoFundMe can offer you building a network, right? It'll offer you gaining support and assistance in those endeavors, right? And so really thinking about more ways that network can benefit you than just opportunities and things of that nature. So let's talk about some of networking and various ways you can do so. So the first question, which is the big one, right? How do I network in person? So something networking in person can be pretty hard, can be pretty awkward sometimes, depending on, the situation, depending on how you're feeling, how the person's feeling. But again, keeping it simple and genuine, it'll make it less stressful for you and also for the person you're talking to. So start by simply starting a conversation. Ask questions like, "Hi, I love your work," or say things like, "This is really, really good. Do you know the writer?" Or, "Hey, this theater has the best show. Do you come here often?" So starting simply by starting a conversation can be the easiest way to remove that stress, and it's a genuine way to engage with the person. After that, follow up with an invitation to connect more. Suggest grabbing a cup of coffee or tea, exchange social media handles, as we see more of their work. If the convo is good, you want to keep going, really, really think about following up with that person. I think again, artists love talking to artists, and so if they're feeling the vibe and you're feeling the vibe, they're gonna want to keep conversing in those ways. And in case you're not feeling the vibe, that's perfectly fine as well. But if the conversation is going nicely, have ways to follow up and connect beyond just the conversation. It's a lot easier to connect with people when you're not alone, right? So invite a friend to an event. If there's somebody there you already know, hang out with them if it's cool with them. Check out happenings in your own community, people you know personally. And so you don't have to do this alone. Um, Me, myself, I love going to events with my friends because I'm there with other folks who have the same kind of goals, right? Going there, talking to people, being social, things like that nature, enjoying the show, enjoying the event, things like that. So you don't have to go at it alone. Most likely your friends also want to network, right? And when you're in a group with a buddy, it's easier to kind of have those conversations with each other, with other folks, and you can tap out, tap in, things like that. A big thing I think here is really cool that I just mentioned is seeing what's happening in your community. If there are things happening in your community, most likely you'll see people there you've already met before, folks that have the same interest as you, things like that. And if you're there, all there in the same event together, most likely you're all there for the same thing, to see the work, to hear the work, to engage with the activity X, Y, and Z. And so see what's happening in your community, go to those events, meet people at those events, and continue kind of building that kind of network and relationship with those folks that go to the thing. And remember, just be yourself. There's no need to kind of put on a mask, no need to talk and think like the person you think they want to hear you sound like. Just be yourself. People love who you are already, guaranteed. So to be yourself, be genuine, be kind. Now, how do you network online? So network online can be way easier, right? It's a passive way to stay connected with people, but you can still activate your connection in various ways. The first step is to follow artists, creatives, art supporters, and more online. Follow orgs like Artist Trust, follow galleries, follow publishers, follow magazines, follow, arts and heritage and cultural organizations that also support artists. See who they're supporting. follow who they supported. Artist Trust gives out grants. See who are the recipients. Follow them. And so you're really thinking about building out your network. And just through social media can be the most passive way to do so. And still you can activate your social media, activate your networking in easy ways. The big way, like I said earlier, is to comment and like posts. They can be as simple as "I love your work" or "Congratulations" or "This work is so moving," etc., etc. It's such a simple way to show that you're interested in their work and what's happening in their lives. Again, when someone does it to you, say thank you. Send a heart emoji, say something in response to the folks who will also comment on your actual post as well to again really activate that engagement. And as we all know, social media loves a way to amplify engagement. So the more you interact with people on social media, the more engagement, the more ways you're going to be on people's feeds, people are following you, things like that. So really engaging in those ways and to stay active will then put you in front of spaces and people who also might want to know who your work is and things like that. In addition to commenting and liking, promote events of artists and organizations that you like. If you see somebody you admire is having exhibit or a show, share it in a story, retweet it, share it amongst friends, right? So you want to also promote things that you also admire, folks you admire, and from orgs you admire. Again, it's really showing people that you are interested in what they're doing and their practice, and not just there to get an opportunity from them. Set goals. It may sound a little weird to set networking goals online, but it can be easy as, today I'm going to like 2 posts and that's it. Or today, you know what? I'm going to comment on 5 posts from an artist that I really love. Or today, I'm going to follow 10 artists from the city that I'm currently living in. Those goals can build a structure of how you network, and it creates a more intentional way to Network. As artists, some of these things I know myself feels a little icky when it comes to business side of things. It feels like kind of icky to do so, but being an artist is being a one-person business, right? You have to do things to make sure that you're consistently moving forward in your career and building out your practice in healthy and positive ways to sustain your livelihood as an artist. So create those goals. I do them sometimes, and I'm just like, okay, Luther, you have 10 comments on your post today. Sit down and just like them and respond. It takes no time to do so. It is simple and easy, and people really feel seen in those various ways when you actively be intentional about how to respond to folks or how to network with folks. And again, be yourself. On social media, it is very easy to fall into sort of a monotony of what others are doing, how they're kind of pursuing themselves or portraying themselves. I understand it completely. Still find a way to be yourself and to be unique in your own way and how you network and how you kind of build your community through social media. So some strategies. There are many different ways we can network. Of course, going to events or to exhibitions or to gatherings is like the easy way to network, right? But say you're like me, you're like, hey, you know what? Sometimes I don't want to go to an event, or sometimes I don't really know how to network. Strategies. Create your own networking event, right? If you're like, you know what? I don't know where to go, what to do, who to bring, create your own event. Invite your friends. Say, hey, friends, invite one person that I don't know. Hey, friends, invite 4 people that we don't know. It can be as simple as something in your garage, at a park, at a bookstore, things like that. But you can create your own networking event to help yourself network and build connections. Start your own groups, your own writing group, your own book club, your own art support group, your own collective, etc. Create your own group of friends who love doing things and talking about things and wanting to go to things. I know plenty of people who have a group of friends who just go see exhibitions all the time. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Create an exhibition group, right? Again, being intentional about networking is a good way to think about some strategies. Ask artists you admire for feedback exchanges. As a writer, I have plenty of friends who just give feedback to each other left and right. I send a poem, they send me a poem, here's feedback. Have friends who do the same thing as well. Hey, I'm working on this piece. I know what this piece. Can you give me exchange? Can you give some feedback? In exchange, I'll give you some feedback on your piece. Super simple. So create those ways to converse as well, just by having feedback exchanges. Attend highly publicized events. So as we know, as artists, there are some events that are just the go-to event. Like everyone must go to the event, right? It's different for everybody, every discipline, each field, each community, X, Y, and Z. But we know we have that one event that everyone just has to go to. Go to it. Now, when you go to it, you don't have to talk to anybody. But just being there shows folks who may have seen you elsewhere that you are actually engaging in community in different ways. And then when you see people, then we're going to be like, oh my gosh, hi, so you at the other event from 2 weeks ago or from last month. How you doing? That happens all the time. Again, setting those goals and being intentional about those goals. Like I said before, I'm going to talk to 3 people today, or I'm going to hand out my business card to 5 people today, or I'm going to, ask 6 people how their day is. Set those goals in person, make it simple, make it nice. If you're not up to it, don't be up to it. It's perfectly fine. And use your own space to create exhibitions, artist talks, readings. When you're creating your own space, if you have a garage, you're like, you know what? I want a solo show in my garage. Create it. Invite folks out. Tell a friend to bring a friend. Also, stuff like that can go on your resume as well, right? And so really think about how to kind of double down on these type of things when you're creating your own event or things like that, because they can work as actual events for your resume, right? Simple, simple, simple things. There are ways to do so without the stress when it comes to networking. Some tips. Big one. Support others. That's a wonderful way to build your network. You can do so by going to their events, but also the events of artists you don't know, right? This will show that you're participating again in the community as an active member and engaging in the community that in which you involve yourself in. Go to events, go to readings, both online and in person. Again, that's a big way to kind of build out your network. Seems simple, but sometimes you got to tell ourselves, you know what, there's an event happening tonight. I'm just going to shake it up and go. Talk with people and ask them what they're doing, ask about their work and what they have coming up. Again, follow us on social media, subscribe to newsletters and blogs. That's a really big one. I think a lot of artists have newsletters. That's a very, very passive way to stay kind of up to date on artists you admire and love. And reading their blogs is also a fun way to get to know them. And if you do meet them in person, you can say, oh my gosh, your blog last week was so uplifting. Tell me more about that, right? It's an easy way and a passive way to be familiar and to again start conversation in doing so. And interacting with organizations like Artist Trust. Many, many arts organizations are small in staff and are very, very human like Artist Trust, and some are huge like the NEA. Just depends on the organization. However, still interacting with those organizations can help you network and build engagement. And when folks see you interacting with them, they're going to say, oh my gosh, who is this? They'll go to your page, go to your events, and just kind of become a fan of who you are. This is a big one as well. Don't be afraid to end a conversation in a healthy way. There's plenty of times I found myself in conversation and it's kind of lagging on and both like, so what's next? You can say, you know what? It's been lovely talking to you. I have your social media. I will love to continue talking to you someday. Enjoy the event. And you can just walk away. There's no need to kind of belabor an awkward conversation. You are more than in your right to end a conversation in a healthy way, right? In a kind and genuine way and move forward, right? There's no need to belabor and belabor and belabor just to see if they're going to be a person you want to network with. Again, you have the choice to define your own network. So don't be afraid to call it and say no. Don't overthink it. Remember, it's about being yourself, being genuine, and being respectful. Again, no elevator pitches, no heavy, heavy, heavy. Let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. Be genuine, be kind, and just ask folks how they're doing. So let's get to the networking worksheet. Like the other worksheet, I did email it, but I will also put it here in the chat for everyone, just in case it slipped through the cracks. And I will go over this worksheet with you all as well. Okie doke. So, networking strategy. So, identify 5 people who you would like to meet or connect with who can help you fulfill your career goals. Focus on influencers, so other artists, curators, gallerists, event festival, conference organizers, arts administrators, art world leaders, whatever that means, stakeholders, etc. List their names, explain why they would be a good connection, and then make a plan for an introduction or connection, i.e. via email, over coffee, or an event or gathering. I will also say social media is also a way to kind of plan and strategize when it comes to connecting with folks as well. So take 10 minutes. You already kind of probably already know who you want to network with. Perfectly fine. Again, think about artists and also organizations as well, curators, things like that. And jot them down and think about what does it mean to network with them. So this is the time now for any questions, either about networking or anything else, but I was assuming about networking. Yeah, so questions. I'll take maybe two questions.
Real quick, Luther, you mentioned elevator pitches a few times, and I don't know what that is. What's an elevator pitch
Oh,
not to do?
yes, that is a good question. So elevator pitch is a very quick um, snippet of who you are and what you do. It's made to kind of promote yourself in a quick snapshot. It's called an elevator pitch because the idea is that it's as long as an elevator ride. That's the idea of it. So it should be that short. Quick, 10 seconds, who you are, what you do, and hopefully that will kind of excite whoever you're talking to then want to work with you beyond that conversation. And I say don't do it just because, again, it's about selling yourself and it's about trying to get engagement and trying to get opportunities from the person versus just being genuine and hey, saying, hey, how you doing? I'm so and so. I'm this and that. What brings you to this event? And so it's just readjusting our mentality when it comes to the pitch. Next question. Thank you for that. Um, Other questions?
Kind of off of that, like what would you say are the no's of networking? Like don't go there, don't talk about this, like, or don't like approach in this way. Like what are the you shouldn't do that?
So I would say one no, one thing not to do. So that's to assume the person knows who you are, right? Or they assume they know your work, or assume they know what's happening in the event, right? Or so just having assumptions when going into a conversation automatically becomes kind of awkward if the person actually doesn't know and you're like, oh, this is weird, right? It creates a kind of an awkward thing. And also it kind of creates a sense of genuineness, a sense of humility, a sense of just casual conversation. This is also, I would say the same thing. So if you're applying for like a grant or residency, you don't want to assume that people know your work. You don't want to assume that they are knowledgeable about what you're doing specifically, right? And so you want to kind of approach the conversation openly. And again, removing all those assumptions, even the idea of starting with, say, um, really, really specific pop culture, right? Not everybody knows everything pop culture, right? And everybody knows well, not I would say Beyonce, but everybody knows about her life, right? So starting with, hey, did you know Beyonce ran track in high school? I don't know if it's true or not, but starting there might be kind of not the best idea, right? So you want to start with genuineness, but also removing those assumptions, and also it's better to start with yourself. That's a big, big no, I would definitely consider. Um, I don't know if there's too many no-nos you can do when it comes to networking. I think if you're genuine and casual, most likely you're going to get the same response back. Oh, sorry. A big no-no also is touching people. That's a big no-no. I would, I would severely advise against touching somebody if you don't know them. A handshake, maybe if you're feeling like you want to do a handshake, but again, don't expect them to want to do a handshake back. So I would just consider no touching. If it's a good conversation, you can walk away like, hey, do you give hugs? Like I've done that plenty of times. People done it to me before. Sometimes I'm like, I'm okay, it's good. And it's perfectly fine, right? We're all human, we're all adults, we all have our own boundaries. And so there's no reason for you to turn down a hug, and also you shouldn't be touching folks without permission. Cool. Well, thank you all so much. I'm gonna throw up my last slide here on how to contact me, which is through email, my first name at artisttrust.org. And then, of course, visiting artisttrust.org for any other workshops like these. We do have one coming up in June, which is a 6-week workshop with a wonderful media artist named Chris E. Vargas. And it's about kind of understanding your practice. So thinking about how to sustain yourself as an artist, thinking about what are the ways in which you can have kind of these back pocket materials like biography, like artist statement, really thinking about how to put yourself out there as an artist. And so that workshop is happening in June and is currently open for registration. And again, it's with media artist Chrissy Vargas, who is amazing. If you haven't already, follow Artist Trust on social media. Again, engaging with Artist Trust does be considered as networking. And yeah, thanks for being here. I hope this was helpful in the least, and enjoy the rest of your evenings.